following is a production of Cary TV, the Town of Cary's government access channel.
Hi, welcome to Cary Matters, our monthly program that helps keep you informed of the issues that the Town of Cary is working on. I'm Jennifer Robinson, Council Representative from District A, and we're shaking things up a bit this time. Joining me as co-host is none other than our Mayor, Harold Weinbrecht.
Thank you. It feels a little weird sitting over here on this side.
I am so sure that it does, but I have to admit I kind of like it.
Well, you know, I'm all about making people happy, so all right, let's get started.
All righty then. Okay, Harold, your service on the council dates back a long, long time. Harold and I started on the council at the same time, actually, like first week of December of 1999.
That's right.
And when I was prepping for this edition of Cary Matters, I was thinking about all of the changes that we have seen over this last decade. I mean, really over the last, how many years?
All I know is it's decades.
Yeah.
It's a long time. You know, 15 years isn't far from decades, especially when those years span 3 decades, the 1990s, the 2000s, and the 2010s. Wow, I feel old. I think I'm going to change my mind about doing this episode.
No, don't go. I can't lose my co-host here. All righty. Well, I didn't want to bring up the age thing, so I think we're doing pretty well for the ages that we are.
And that's supposed to make me feel better, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right. Okay, I feel better.
Okay.
I know what you meant. I was just teasing. But anyway, I'll stay and we'll have a good time at this.
That sounds good.
So where were we? I forgot already.
Okay, well, we were talking about how things have changed over the years.
Oh, isn't that the truth? Well, when I came on council, Cary was growing rapidly, and there was the Great Recession that followed, and now things are picking up again, maybe not quite like it was in the 1990s, but definitely picking up. We're getting several requests each month to rezone land.
Yeah. I mean, what our citizens are seeing is dirt is turning over everywhere, and there are orange cones on many, many of our roads. And all of this activity has inspired citizens to ask us some questions about what is going on. And I was thinking that it would be good for us to use this time to answer for our citizens some of the questions that we get all of the time, like, why don't we do more to influence what a neighborhood looks like? And why are lots so small these days?
And why development is still occurring when we have school capacity issues.
Yeah, that's a really, really common question that we're getting. Let's talk about all of these things. Then after we've answered some of these top of the mind questions, we'll also talk about what our police department is doing to further increase safety for both our citizens and our officers.
Okay, sounds good. Let's start with a primer on the development process. The council has adopted many long-range plans, and we maintain a land use plan that is a guide for how we would like to have our town develop in the future. To make this plan a reality, landowners or developers may need to rezone land, but the rezoning district they request needs to be consistent with our land use plan. In other words, if our land use plan calls for low-density residential development, the applicant needs to propose zoning that would allow 1 to 3 houses per acre. If it calls for office and institutional uses, the rezoning needs to be for some type of non-residential use like a medical office. Typically, a rezoning request does match our land use plan, but sometimes it doesn't, and when that happens, the landowner or developer will first ask the town to change the land use plan. After the proper zoning is in place, the applicant then has to go through site or subdivision plan review before construction may begin. This is the stage of development where our staff, not the council, verifies the project complies with all of the town's laws.
Yeah, that's probably the toughest aspect of the development process for citizens to understand. They want to know that their concerns are being addressed, but our staff can only enforce the laws that we, the council members, have put in place. And they can't arbitrarily add new laws or rules to tailor a site plan to address issues that citizens care about, but where we don't already have an existing ordinance that addresses it.
Right. The council makes our development laws, which we call ordinances. It takes about 4 months to change or add a new ordinance. So this is not something that we can really do on the fly to address a particular project's needs. Even when we do want to add or change a law, we need to be careful about the ramifications of that law. We always ask ourselves, is it really addressing the problem? And does it create a new problem of any kind?
That's right. We are always very deliberate whenever we make a law and always seek an abundant amount of input from our citizens. The Planning and Zoning Board, which has 9 citizens on it, gives us their recommendation as well. And I think that our laws that we have in place are a large factor in why our community looks and feels the way that it does. Given how often we hear from citizens that want us to have additional rules in place, it might interest some of our citizens to know that there is a chance that the town might be restricted from having certain development ordinances in the future.
Yes, that's right. And as you know, the state of North Carolina is a state where the legislature gives local governments their authority. Currently, a House bill is floating around the legislative building that would force local governments to abandon aesthetic design guidelines for some residential development. And obviously, at a time when local governments are doing everything they can to position themselves for economic recovery, we don't think this is a good approach.
Harold, it's my understanding that this House Bill 150 is largely supported by entities that profit from the housing construction. In particular, the nationwide production builders that don't want to have to change their plans or the way they do things from one community to the next. And I wish more citizens knew about House Bill 150, and I also wish that they would communicate to the General Assembly that local governance should stay local.
Amen.
I don't think we want a state representative from Asheville telling us how we want Cary to look and feel.
That's right. And as you know, Jennifer, it's so easy to contact our state representatives. All you have to do is send an email to their first name dot their last name at ncleg.net.
Very good. And that NCLEG stands for North Carolina Legislature.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, this is particularly important now as we go through a period with a lot of development. And that's what everybody's saying.
That's right. And that leads to the second question that people ask us all the time. Why are lots so small these days? Let's talk about that. Back when you and I bought houses, lots were much larger.
Oh yeah, well things have changed. I mean, in general, I'd say that there are 2 reasons why lots are smaller these days. The most obvious reason is land costs. Because our land supply is becoming limited, the price of land has risen over time, so developers have to achieve a greater yield in order to make it profitable. The more complicated reason has to do with the way that we do business here in Cary. You know, back in the 90s and early 2000s, we were seeing a lot of houses that experienced flooding. We amended our ordinances so that flood areas could be included as part of a residential lot. Excuse me, could not be. They were before.
That's right.
I mean, we allowed people to have creeks in their backyard. If it had a floodplain, we let that go into the yard. And we don't want that to be the case anymore because it's just unfair to buyers of a house to buy into a house and then find out that it's going to flood. Plus, we implemented a requirement for a 100-foot natural buffer around creeks and streams to protect water quality. In our older neighborhoods, you'll notice that creeks run through the lot and sometimes define the border of a lot. In newer neighborhoods, the lots must exclude the floodplains and stream buffers. So when a developer seeks to achieve his total yield, like you were saying earlier, 3 units per acre, those lots can only be placed on a portion of the whole parcel. The development includes the allowed total number of lots, but they're not as large. So we have neighborhoods with small lots and a whole lot of open space, and that would then be considered like common open space for the community.
That's right. This is really good information for our citizens to know, especially since we have so many neighborhoods coming out of the ground at the same time. So let's address that frequent question about why we are approving so many units when we don't have the school capacity to accommodate all of the current students, not to mention the new students.
Yeah, I think that's the top of the mind question that people have. It might surprise people to learn that a lot of the development that is going on now has been in the works for many years. Many landowners and developers came to the town to rezone their land back before the recession hit. In fact, some of the communities were approved even before we joined the council, or you joined the council.
That's right.
7 years ago. I mean, there are some lots that were there before you and I both joined the council that are just now developing, but not as many. But several hundreds of lots were approved a long time ago. All right, when we have land that was already approved for zoning, we say that it is entitled for future development. Additionally, other land has to be approved for development, but has not yet been built to completion. So the council needs to be really careful about rezoning land for residential development. An applicant for a new project needs to present a compelling argument to gain approval. Interestingly enough, most of what is under construction today was approved long before our schools are as overcrowded as they are now.
That's exactly right. For the longest time, the council was concerned that it could not deny a rezoning request based on limited school capacity. But at this point, we think we do have the authority to deny rezoning if we don't think there will be enough school seats to serve the area.
Yeah, good information, because I think that's a departure from what we thought for a while. Before we go to our break, let's address one related question that citizens have about zoning and school capacity. We often hear the suggestion that the town should communicate better with the school board so that they are aware of our pending development. For years and years, I don't even know how many years, probably going back to like 2000, the town has been sending updated information to Wake County each time a development is approved, or our staff has helped the school system with data for their projections of future demands. So Wake County already has the most up-to-date estimates of expected school or future needs for schools. In fact, the school board just met recently to talk specifically about how they are going to address the growing needs for school seats in Western Cary at the elementary level, the middle school level, and the high school level.
That's right. And let's hope we can work together to come up with solutions. I know you and I met with the school board members and we talked about a whole range of issues related to this. We know the vitality of our economy is linked to our ability to educate those children. And to keep our citizens safe is also linked, which is what we'll be talking about after the break. Okay?
There are those who never stop moving forward. They work tirelessly to serve others. They strive for excellence. They are C-Tran. At C-Tran, our constant and total focus is you, getting you there safely when you need to be there. This commitment to you has made C-Tran one of the fastest growing transit systems in the Triangle. We provide an exceptional transit service to keep you moving. So whether your destination is here, or here, welcome aboard C-Tran. Reach your destination on C-Tran.
Hi, thanks for staying with us during that break. Okay, Harold, before we went to that break, you were talking about the importance of safety and the vitality of our community. Why don't you expound upon that?
Okay. I've always thought that you only are as safe as you feel. We could be the safest community in the nation, but if you don't feel safe, you're not safe. It's the actual safety itself that's important.
Yeah, okay, I think that's a very good point. I've often said that when I've talked to citizens, is that we need to feel safe.
That's right.
to be safe. Okay, I totally agree. We have the responsibility, though, not only to keep our citizens safe, but to keep our officers safe, too. And that's why when the town recently replaced its 800 megahertz radio system, our police department decided to include an encryption feature. By encrypting the radio frequencies, it means that only those who need to know and should know can hear what is being said on the police radio.
That's right. And we know that there are a lot of amateur radio folks who are disappointed to have the police radio encrypted. But encryption protects the officers in the field and protects private information as well. The encryption feature allows us to determine which channels can be monitored over police scanners. You know, technology is a good thing, but when it's allowed to be accessible by criminals or would-be criminals, the ability to download scanner apps or on smartphones to deliver police radio traffic directly to their phones, that's just not a good thing.
No, it really isn't. It's really hard to even imagine how we could have our citizens feel safe if our officers themselves are not safe. I mean, can you imagine we have our police trying to respond to an emergency, and we have the bad guys monitoring our radio and knowing exactly what the officers are doing and where they're going. I mean, that just seems defeatist. We're not just talking about, obviously, the officer's safety, because oftentimes that has a trickle-down effect to the citizens. So by encrypting our radio, I really believe that we're protecting both our officers and the citizens that they are charged to protect.
And I totally agree with that. You know, agencies like the Secret Service have been doing this for years, but this is the first police department in the Triangle that's going to encrypt their radio.
I feel very cutting edge. We should be really proud of this town. You know, our police department is acting proactively to protect our community, and it's another example of the excellence among our officers. We are really, really fortunate to live in such a wonderful city as this, such a safe and progressive town.
Amen to that. Okay, after the break, we're going to talk about what's happening in Cary and during this month and how you can be involved, and I can be involved, you can be involved and included. So join us after the break.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
Okay, we are back. In this final segment of Cary Matters, we want to talk about what's happening in September and how you can be involved. So you might think that activities slow down as we leave summer behind us, but not in Cary. There is still a lot going on as we move into fall, which I think is one of the best times to live in Cary.
I agree. A big highlight for me this month is the Cary Scavenger Hunt, which is what the town hosts on September 13, and it's not too late to sign up your friends or yourself as a team to participate. I'm going to join Councilmember Bush, and we're going to participate for the second year in a row. It's going to be a hoot. Anyway, the calendar at the Town of Cary is where all the details are, so you can go there and find out more. And like I said, I've participated as a judge and as a participant, and it's just a blast.
It sounds like
you
a
got to
blast.
do it.
So go to the calendar at townofcary.org.
That's right.
Okay. Plus, for the music lovers, we have the Pickin' in the Pine series every Wednesday night at 5:30 at the Cocoa Booth Amphitheater. And for the writers, we have a really unique opportunity. We have a literary laureates at the Page Walker at 3 p.m. on September 14th. This sounds really, really cool. I know my daughter, your daughter would be interested in
Oh,
this.
yeah.
We both have writers for daughters. It's a unique meet and learn opportunity in which citizens can enjoy a workshop with one of our Piedmont laureates. Topics include poetry, playwriting, nonfiction, and fiction. And after the workshops, there will be a panel discussion and reading by the laureates, followed by a reception. If this sounds interesting to you or your daughter, pre-register soon because you have to be registered to attend.
That's right. And learn more about any of these events on our town's events calendar at the townofcary.org. The events calendar also includes our public meetings. We'll have our regularly scheduled council meeting on Thursday, September 11th, and a change, Tuesday, September 23rd. We usually meet on Thursdays and Thursdays. And we have a work session on Monday, September the 22nd, when we'll get an update on the downtown park and streetscape. Can't wait to hear what's going on there.
Yeah, exciting things.
Well, that's it for this edition of Cary Matters. We appreciate you watching and hope that what we've shared has been of interest. And please let us hear from you. Your time is important, and we want this show to be of value to you as we work to bring you, our citizens, closer to their government.
That's right. And remember, help keep Cary litter-free, clean, green, and beautiful by volunteering with our Spruce program. Thanks for watching, and as always, thank you for choosing to call Cary home.
Hey, wait a minute, that's my line.
I know, I felt really strange doing it for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been a production of Cary TV. Visit the Town of Cary's website at townofcary.org.